welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. 2 years ago, when the UPA government lost the elections, they actually blamed it on the lack of communications. Not the scams, not the anti-incumbency factor, but the fact that they couldn't communicate their schemes properly to the people. So now, 2 years down the line, we are going to be taking a look at the Modi government and find out whether Modi's style of communication, a one-way style through Mann Ki Baat, through Twitter, no press conferences, really no media interactions except for brief, I think when he goes out of town, maybe he does very few media interactions in fact. So is this messaging working? Is Modi government actually able to get its message across? To do that with me, I have a panel of experts. We have commentators, columnists, political analysts. We have Virendra Kapoor, Neerja Chowdhury, Pankaj Pachauri, and Arati, Jerath. And Pankaj, I may add, has also been a former media advisor to the Manmohan Singh government. So I'm going to begin with you, Pankaj, and ask you, is the Modi PMO doing your job well? Are you happy with the way they're doing it without someone like you there?
Nothing to do with me being happy about it. Yeah, there's no one there actually in the Prime Minister's office. I went to the website and the officials where it's written clearly that that's the person to go to by all media. So that's one big thing, that there's no one in the last 2 years in the Prime Minister's office where the media can go and get their queries addressed. So it's been outsourced. Whether it's working or not, that you can look at the media and how the media has been reporting him in the last 2 years. I would say that when it comes to the mainstream media, it has been working to an extent. But when it comes to the social media, now people are raising hell about, whatever he says, there's a meme, there is people attacking him and all that. So what has happened that because it's been a one-way communication, so social media, which has no strings attached to any business houses or something, they are starting to speak up.
Well, apart from, the fact who's doing it, I'm actually looking at the end result, at the end product. Is this method working, the fact that, we get to know only what the PMO really wants us to know?
Let me say, the UPA government had 3 excellent media advisors, UPA 1 had 1 and then UPA 2 had 2, and all 3 were very good, very accessible, and, they communicated well with the media. And still, they lost the elections and they blamed their poor communication. So obviously just having a good media advisor in the PMO is not the answer. I think the main thing, and this is something which UPA lacked, and this is, a gap I see in the present government too. To build public awareness, I think you can't do it just through advertising or through the social media or through the mainstream media. I think you need political action, And what the Congress failed to do was use its party network to spread the message right down to the grassroots level. And I think the BJP is failing to do that as well. And mind you, the BJP today is a 10 crore strong, party. And the BJP has traditionally been a cadre-based party, unlike the Congress, It's also got the advantage of having the RSS, which is spread across the country, if they were to actually, use this huge network, I think, that it would be a far better effective means of communicating what the government is doing, what its achievements have been, how it's trying to help the people, because then it becomes a face-to-face, one person speaking to a small group of people, and that is always so much more effective than using more anonymous methods like, mainstream media or advertising.
Or Twitter. Yeah, Virendra, to take off from where Arati said, the fact that you need to go to the people. Now, we know PM has told his ministers to reach out. This whole week we couldn't find anybody. Everybody's out in their constituencies or in the villages communicating the message. Why doesn't the Prime Minister do the same? Why does he give them, if he has to give an interview to a foreign newspaper?
The Prime Minister is his own media manager and he's doing an excellent job of it. I don't think for want of a formal appointment of a media manager, there's anything lagging. In fact, this government communicates far better because you can't get a better communicator than Prime Minister Modi himself. Okay, and the fact that media has now come round, never mind those sections who were hostile to him. And how do we know it's not percolating? Look, the message of the government eventually percolates, takes time. And this business about, congressmen very often say this, these are a scheme. Sure enough, those are your schemes, but you knew the direction where to go. This man is going there, actually going there and trying to reach some destination. You knew about Aadhaar, you started this, Manrega and other things. At least he's communicating, and he's communicating in a way which is very effective. He might be exaggerating the gains like Jan Dhan or the Aadhaar, the number of bank accounts. I don't think that you need a formal media advisor, number one. Number two, in fact, you can complain the surfeit of messaging from this government. There's too much, actually.
Would you agree?
Especially at the time when we are discussing now the second anniversary, is too full of. I mean, I am not at all exaggerating. And I was reading the other day, the total outlay on advertising in 1 year of Modi was 997 crores, as against 526 crores earmarked by Delhi government under Kejriwal.
For one scheme. Okay.
So message is going across.
Message is going across. Do you feel, because, you know, there is a thing that he's also been said that he's not speaking on the right issues. You know, there have been occasions like the Dadri case, like his ministers talking out of turn. We haven't heard the PM's views on these.
Yeah, I think I would say that this is a new trend, maybe not so new in the last decade or so, even more, where politicians have now ceased to give interviews where they will be counter-questioned. All of them, this is not Mr. Modi, they will have their blog, they want to put out their tweet, they want to put out what they want to say, but they don't want to be counter-questioned. Now, yes, I agree with you, the Prime Minister on a thing like Dadri, where the ripples were felt not just in India, but beyond India. And it created fears about investment, India as an investment destination. I would have thought, yes, a word from the Prime Minister, whether it was in Man Ki Baat, he's a good communicator at one of the rallies, or a tweet message, yes, it would have calmed people. Even on the hotheads who derailed the Prime Minister's agenda right through 2015, the focus on development, governance of 2014, which they now seem to be getting back to, in 2016 was totally derailed because of these extreme voices. The Prime Minister could have just sent one of the ministers packing. That's message good enough, instead of all the bawal that took place through that year. So yes, I would have expected somebody like Mr. Narendra Modi to do that. He did not. But on the marketing of the message, you know, we are all media people. If I say 22 children die because of midday meals given to them in an Anganwadi, and I put it on paragraph, one corner of page 10, or I make it a flyer on page 1, the impact is very different. So Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, this team knows the art of marketing, how to get their message across, and they are using every trick in the book, every weapon that they have. I have no problems with that. You have to get, if you are doing something, get your message across. That is how you are going to win more people, more supporters. And why not, in this age of new media, social media, technology, use it, of course. If the Congress was late entrant in the game, which it was, they themselves said, the Anna Hazare movement, they were caught napping, the way Kejriwal used the social media. So, as I say, I have no problem. But I do wish the Prime Minister would, you know, have a press conference.
Sooner rather than later. Quickly.
I think of late, you will notice that the fringe element, the so-called fringe element, is quietened down. They're not creating any problems. And secondly, Neerja talking about the Congress party and the, you know, trying to get their act together on the social media. But you got to have a message to convey, you know. Congress doesn't have a message to convey. So what do they do on the social media?
You didn't have a message to convey, yet you had press conferences.
See, that's one thing.
And maybe they don't have a fire in
everyone
their belly.
confuses, and it has to be put on the table. But elections are not run and won by the governments. Elections are run and won by the political party. So that is the Congress thing. So I was not working for the Congress party. I was working for the Prime Minister's office. So as far as the Prime Minister's message was there, it was absolutely clear on everything. Now you don't know, this is news to me that they've spent 900 crores in the first year. In the last year of the UPA government, the total budget will not go over 220 crores. And if the Congress party at that time had been half as aggressive as it is today on media and communicating and on messaging, they wouldn't have been so badly hit in the last election.
Yeah, but the
See,
media
that's
can't
the
do
point
anything.
that I'm saying.
That's what it
the
is.
party needs to be active.
It's the party which runs
and you know, Priya, listen, I think social media is, an amazing invention, and, you can amplify your message, multiple times through social media. But, I mean, call me old-fashioned or whatever, I think the personal touch still matters in politics. That's why you see in, Western democracies, they go around, they shake hands, they kiss babies, they hug women, And, when a big tragedy strikes, I mean, even the President of the United States will go, to the site and talk to people. We've had some terrible drought in, in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh and so on. And, I mean, I've read news reports where people are asking, why has the Prime Minister not visited? Why has anybody from the central government not visited to talk to us and find out what our problems are, how they can help us? Okay, there was some big publicity about a water train being sent to Latur, but, beyond that, I mean, I think politics is about people's skills, and the personal touch is very important. And I think that, of course, effective messaging and all that, but when you see a human being putting that message across rather than, a Twitter platform, I think it makes a lot of difference.
Arati, what they're now doing, again, is they've divided themselves into these 30 teams.
Yes. With
a minister, NDA minister, an MOS, and an office bearer of the party. And each team is supposed to go to 6 places.
That's right.
And get the message across. So it covered 200 obviously significant constituencies.
But the Prime Minister is the head of the government, Neerja.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm not saying he has to go everywhere. You pick and choose. I mean, look at those shots of him in Meghalaya, I think, on the day of the
playing the drums.
playing the drums and dancing with those, sort of tribal folk. I thought it was really nice. It was such a warm and personal thing to do.
But that is
Or when
also,
he went to Japan.
Or when he went to Japan.
see, that is also a thing. When I joined the Prime Minister office, my brief was only 2-3 sentences. Number 1, no personal glorification. That's why
But
Dr.
that's
Singh
the nature
didn't
of
want-
Manmohan Singh
Yeah,
and Sonia.
absolutely.
That must have been absolutely necessary.
Absolutely.
What would happen to Sonia Gandhi
no
then?
personal glorification. I'm working for the Prime Minister. Don't bring Sonia Gandhi into this.
All right, okay.
Okay?
That's interesting.
That's one. Number 2, no extra money and no human resources, no extra people. So you were working in the Prime Minister's office in the media. I remember when we were going to US and I asked one of the officials that if I could meet the director of communication in White House. He said, which one? They have 29. I was shocked. I said, we have like 3 people running this show. Run the kind of show which is being run these days, I have some experience in this, would need at least 15, 20 people on day-to-day basis.
But there are people working behind the scenes.
Yeah, so who are these people? Who's paying for them? The government of India? The Bharatiya Janata Party? Or it's coming from somewhere else?
Okay.
Because we had very clearly no new money, no new human resources, and no personal glorification. And all this is happening in this government. That's why we think the messaging is very good. The messaging is huge. But as Neerja was saying, over-messaging actually is counterproductive in a long run.
This over-messaging,
You
we
see,
had this big celebration for 2 years.
So eventually, no salesman, no media manager or media team is important. What are you delivering? And what they delivered last government, Manmohan Singh government, in fact, you can't leave, Prime Minister can't leave politics alone. Politics is integral part of running a government.
Yeah.
You might do the best thing, the word, you might perform, but the message doesn't go down. If Manmohan Singh did such great wonders, how come the ordinary people still rejected him? And the laughing stock.
Did they reject Manmohan Singh? He was not even a candidate. In January, he said, I'm not a candidate.
Come on, yeah.
He passed on the baton.
No, it was his
They
government. which
rejected Rahul Gandhi.
It was
I don't know, they rejected.
the mandate was on, it was a vote against as much a vote for Modi as against Manmohan Singh government and misdoings and doings. So the point is that we overemphasize communication, messaging. Unless the man in the street gets the message, kuch ho raha hai, kuch kaam ho raha hai, government is performing. No amount of publicity hoodwinking the people will be
So
effective.
you agree with Virendra that this hype is necessary? We saw that 2-year celebration. It was like, what, a mega event for us.
Yeah, that 5 hours. Yeah, in the
5 hours,
evening.
was it needed?
Well, I think it's fine for them to do 5 hours, but I question, but the TV channels have to cover those 5 hours.
Okay.
You should be grateful. You should be grateful you got free footage.
Yeah,
You don't have to spend any money.
Yeah, well, I mean, was that the only thing happening? You know, I raised those questions. Some did better than others. You know, you cull out certainly what the Prime Minister had to say. It was interesting what Amitabh Bachchan was doing, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. But everything to be was, I thought it was a case of overkill.
Okay.
But I am, as I said earlier, you know, certainly to hype it. We were taught this very basic thing, that you've got to, you know, when people say you people in the media sensationalize. As Arati is saying, if, you know, stark drought is taking place, or if children are dying, then you've got to sensationalize, Priya. You've got to sensationalize to get that message across, so-called sensationalize. You're giving it priority.
Okay.
So if the government feels, yes, we've done A, B, C, D, yeah, let them go to the people very convincingly using everything. I have no problem with that one. And if the Congress feels we did not communicate properly, that's why we lost. They obviously feel they didn't hype it up enough.
Okay. So we're going to take a short break, but we're going to come back and talk about the communication strategies of the current government and also where the last government did wrong. Welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Today we are discussing the communication strategies of the Modi government. Arati, to begin with, you mentioned a very important point. The fact is that Modi is hyping all his good things. Why is he not visiting drought areas? I actually raised this question with Mr. Gadkari recently, and he says that we are doing a lot of stuff in the back channels. He's meeting the concerned minister. He's sending off that train. He's doing stuff, so he doesn't need to, go there and do a photo op the way Rahul Gandhi would do.
No, I don't think it's a question of photo op. It's really just telling people that, look, I'm with you, I'm concerned, and I'm going to, make sure that my government does everything possible to help you from, out of your distress. I mean, listen, it's a democracy, right? Democracy means you've got to reach out to people. I mean, I think there is absolutely no way out of it. And, this back channel stuff and all, I mean, as long as the benefits are reaching the people, that's very good. And I think Virendra is absolutely right that, messaging is important, but people must also feel that they're getting what you promised to give them. And, I mean, if you overhype it, like I think, one of the problems that this government is suffering from is that they hyped up the expectations so much in 2014, and then they didn't do any expectation management once they won the mandate, So people still feel that, oh, we were promised a pot of gold, and why haven't we got that pot of gold? I think, communications is, of course, I mean, I think it was absolutely fantastic marketing of Narendra Modi into the 2014 campaign, and there's no doubt about it. I think that shock and awe campaign just completely paralyzed everybody in the opposition. Nobody knew how to respond to it. But having done that and having achieved your goal, which was to get a full majority, and it was amazing, after 3 decades for the first time. After that, I think the government should have, a good communicator would have gone in for some expectation management, so that you bring down the hype a little bit, because no government can deliver like that in 1 year or 2 years, No government. It's a very slow process of delivery.
Exactly, what I was saying. To run an election campaign is totally different from running a government, and their communication strategies have to be different. The trouble right now is that we are still in an election mode, because to take digs at opposition people, never. I mean, this is something which has never happened in India.
Okay.
Even Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, I remember covering his speeches, he never said political things, but there is some sort of, a protocol within the Prime Minister's office that on official functions, don't say anything about politics. In political function, don't attack the opposition. Without attacking the
Where
opposition.
does he do his politics then?
Yeah. So that's
I just have a one-liner for my friend here. The Prime Minister is the foremost politician of this country. The Prime Minister is also the chief executive of this country. So those roles are combined. So let's not keep on harping on that. This platform, I'll not speak politics. That platform, Prime Minister speaks everything which he can.
Prime Minister's office is not
political party of political Prime Minister as opposed to Manmohan Singh.
Because Manmohan Singh can't be the role model for an ideal Prime Minister.
VP saying,
That's why.
Atal
They all
Bihari
spoke
Vajpayee.
politics. Vajpayee also spoke.
Rajiv
Vajpayee said in
Gandhi.
one sentence which Modi says in 10. So, but Vajpayee also said this. He was always subtle. The Vajpayee was nuanced.
Should Modi have a press conference, Prime Minister Modi?
It would be very, very nice. You know, he's had meetings with senior journalists, 2014 winter, 10, 12 people, 4, 5, 6 rounds. And I remember the round where I was, he spent 1.5 hours, Priya, and he answered every single question, and they were that included uncomfortable questions. He got up only when the questions were exhausted. And he did this with media people, but that was not in, it gave us insights about his thinking, about his planning, you know, all about Modi. But we couldn't use this, you know, it was all off the record. So now 2 years are over. Certainly, I think there are so many issues, and in a democracy with the kind of vibrant media we have, yes, I would certainly hope and wish that the Prime Minister will have a press conference, a proper press conference.
But Neerja, it would be valuable only if he is going to be frank and, you know, share his views at the
That
press
is his
conference.
prerogative.
See, if
no
it's
Prime
going to
Minister
be
will
just
will open the, you
no,
know.
I'm not saying that. But you know, the press con, you know, if it's just going to be, you know, a propaganda thing where he's not really going to discuss issues with the media persons, and this is the problem with a formal press conference. You know, you tend to, you sort of ask a question and
There's
he
no
gives
follow-up question at all.
There's no follow-up question.
There's no
He just gives a
supplementaries.
style.
But at least,
like
you know,
it's not like the American
came
press.
across pretty well in the
That's
press.
also our fault.
whether
It's
the
also
press
We had a
conference
lot
is
of
of any
press
value at
conferences
all, you
on
know.
board, unlike on board. I mean, we had so many press conferences. People asked all kind of questions.
No, but the formal press conferences,
And-
you're not
Dr.
allowed only
Manmohan
one
Singh had
question.
2 or 3
No, you can
papers.
Where you have 200 media
Yeah.
people gathered in
No,
Vigyan
they did.
Bhavan. No, but you know, I mean, I
We
really
did a
don't know
press
the
conference,
value of a
people
press
asked-
conference
But
like
But
that
Manmohan Singh
anymore.
at least came across very
62
good in the press
questions were
conferences,
asked.
better than the
62
Manmohan Singh
questions.
we knew, I thought.
Well,
He got good
I don't see
headlines.
any
Why
reason
won't
why
Modi will
Narendra
get
Modi
better
should not
headlines?
come across well too.
He will.
I mean, he'll come across well too. And you know, those interviews he gave, you know, in the run-up to the campaign, those television interviews, I thought
Brilliant
he came,
headlines.
they were
Which is why
brilliant,
one is
absolutely.
wondering why he's not engaging the media in a press conference. Because
Tell me
I
one
don't
thing, just
see-
jog my memory, Neerja. The Prime Minister was also Chief Minister before this thing. Did he hold press conferences at that time?
I don't think,
Hardly any.
I
Hardly
don't
any.
remember
Hardly
any.
any.
So this is continuing in
But
that
it's something
strategy.
that's worked for him, clearly.
Yeah.
But you see, you see, every politician is
talking
like
about
that
the
today.
Lack of attention from the Prime Minister. If he's doing fine without all of us, why should you bother? This is your grievance.
You are saying he's doing fine.
Of course he's doing very fine. I mean, otherwise he'll call all of us, take us on Air Force One and fly us around, put us up in a 5-star hotel.
That's-
Come on, yeah.
Story, is he getting the message across or not?
Yeah,
See,
that's the
that
point.
is
That's
the
more
message.
I
relevant.
think that the proof of the pudding lies in
Exactly.
the eating. So we'll know in the next election
You have
whether
the
he's
rating.
got
Yeah,
a
so
message
you're
or not.
waiting for 5
So we have to wait for the next
Arati,
election.
it's very interesting. If you look at it after the Delhi and Bihar defeats, people had begun to say that will they come back in 2019? You know, it's a question mark. It's not the same as was being talked about in 2014. Post Assam, it's only one election that they've won. Look at the mood change. People are now
Yeah,
saying
but-
they're definitely coming
You're
back
right,
in
right.
2019. Why? It's the way they handled their victory.
Very good.
It's the way they marketed that victory. It's the killer instinct that this duo of
Which the
the
Congress
Congress
lacks.
lacks.
There is a small
Exactly.
correction. There is a small correction
Brother,
here.
totally
Even on the
agree.
Bihar, the fact is, post Bihar, even after 2 days, Prime Minister's ratings were still very high. I mean, nobody comes anywhere close to him to challenge
No,
up front.
that's
so
part of the-
BJP might have lost in Bihar, but I remember seeing those ratings. It's there and all that his own ratings are pretty high.
But you
So
know,
on that,
Priya,
he was
last
the
word.
main-
Last, totally last.
Yeah,
word.
he was.
You know, I mean, obviously there is some rethinking going on in the government, because for the second anniversary celebrations, every minister has come out, given an
given
interview to the, you know, the electronic media, to the print media. You know, they are talking about what they've been doing. So obviously there is some rethinking about this earlier closed door
UP is
policy
coming
that they
by.
had.
UP is
We're
coming.
ending
So
this.
maybe-
huh?
we're ending it, yes.
Yeah, but I'll just do this thing. See, the time has come where the government gets out of the propagandist election mode to governing mode.
Well, on that note, we're going to end this discussion. Thank you for watching this roundtable. We'll see you again same time next week.